Hey guys, Elvin Prince here, back with, for the first time in 2 months, RWBY fight scene analysis, where I, to the chagrin of a few of you out there, go into detail about practicality and my thoughts about the fights within the RWBY series. Today, after I think a year since we started, it's gotta be roughly a year, right? Okay, only 5 months. That's about a year. You round the 5 up to half a year, and then the half a year up to 1 full year. Anyway, we're finally finishing with the yellow trailer and background. If anything, this will be the fight that I'll be most able to relate with in terms of actual practicality. I've ended up doing a fair amount of more fisticuffs, hand-to-hand, not necessarily boxing style combat. My first love will always be swords and the like, but you can't go wrong with a good old fist fight. Anyway, without any further ado, let's switch over and start with fight. Scathing Eyes asks that we be symmetrical, one-sided, and easily processed. Yet every misshapen spark's unseen beauty is greater than its would-be judgment. Still can't speak English. Check out the original video. It'll be linked. I kind of miss this style that RWBY had, back in its first few volumes. The more recent stuff looks really nice. Hello, Raven. This is very much a stylized bit that I wish we could have seen more of. Good use of shadows and contrast. Remixing of Red Like Roses, and let's see if we can dead bear or whatever. Okay, that's why we're buffering like crazy. Let's just drop it back down to a normal 720. Find that works a bit better. Yep. Roman. Okay, this'll be a in-passing thing, but Roman's cane. Looking at it as a weapon, I love it. It's fairly practical. I mean, if you're able to properly contain an explosion within the cane, which should be possible if done if forged properly, there's no reason it shouldn't work. So with it, you've got the extendo hook at the end, which works. It's just a hook. Also allows for some more fancy work to be done with it. It is melodic cudgel, and it is a cane, flare gun, and grappling hook. And yeah, this is about how fancy I like the weapons in RWBY to be. Very reasonable and fairly simple enough to create. Metal reinforced cane part, bit of a stylized reticle at the end, and yeah, it's basically just bludgeoning someone into submission. Melodic cudgel gets my approval. Today we don't see more of him. Yang's personality has definitely
Yes,
changed.
Junior, I've got several. But instead of sweetheart, you could just call me Sir.
Poor guy.
People say you know everything. Tell me where I can find her and I'll let you go.
Raven.
Never seen her before. I
Yep.
swear.
Excuse me?
It's been a while
I
since
swear.
I
Sir.
touched anything Ruby.
Looks like we have an audience. This must be
And
kind of embarrassing.
axes, well,
Awkward.
those look like woodcutter axes.
Ronnie, sir.
There's a
You
whole
want to make it out
video
still
from,
alive? I suggest you let me go now.
pretty sure it's Skulligrim or Shadversity
I
on
was just playing with you. Don't be
you know.
so sensitive.
the difference between a woodcutter's axe and a battle axe or half shade. And now we will get our first. Yep. So ignoring the force that would take. Okay. Back up a bit, and we're gonna get our first look at Ember Silica, I believe. That smug look on Yang that we haven't seen in ages. In terms of practicality, it's shotgun gauntlets. I suppose it could work. And with it, we have, the barrel along with the firing mechanisms here. I'm not sure if the gauntlets extend past the knuckles. If so, that is personally how I would have designed it, as it would give you a bit more padding. Also, maybe have had it go, more brass knuckles over them, as opposed to just having it extend like this. I'd have it go a bit more like that, or like that. These sticky notes are really getting a lot of use as a prop. But I mean, in terms of practicality and reality, it could be made. I mean, that's assuming your arm can take the recoil, and they complement her semblance fairly well. Being I guess a mirror would be the best way. Oh boy. Yep. Gonna be one of these fights. Let's drop the playback speed to a quarter. Cut the volume and go. So that kick, it's a modified spinning roundhouse thing. I mean, not really feasible, but looks cool. Again, this is all save for the punches going on in air. It's all fairly reasonable stuff that could be done. There's an idea. Maybe try and recreate the fight, just with some friends. Yep. Each of these strikes, it's reasonable. Just, back a bit, go for a strike, grab the hand, punch. It's a sound technique. It'll probably knock them off balance. Unnecessary spinning, but, that's about par for the course. Then our gentleman in the black suit strike, catches the blade on her gauntlet, follows through with a spike and series of punches, jabs, crosses, and just sends him flying. It's doable. And we have Dead Bear, ignoring the fact that bullets, do that. using the dust as a propellant makes sense. This, is fairly grounded in terms of what could actually be done. Like, and just the trauma and brutality that would happen, if aura wasn't a thing. Okay. Melanie and Milsha. Prototype Ruby and Weiss, if I recall. So, I believe Melanie is the one with the bladed boots. Milsha is the one with the Wolverine claws. I think it's not totally unreasonable. For the claw gauntlets, you would want significantly more support along the wrist so that it doesn't get bent out of shape. So probably follow the gauntlet maybe up to the elbow with the possibility for an articulating joint at the wrist that can be locked out. And for the bladed boots, guess it could be done. While the Wolverine claws do have a little bit of historical precedent, footwear is not a huge part for me. And also love the outfits that these guys have. I feel like the textures are a bit wonky, particularly on red. I think the white dress looks really nice. The simple chains and furs looks like something you reasonably could find at a club if they were entertainment. Don't yell at me, I don't know their age, but I'm just digging myself a deeper hole with that statement. So, eject the shells. I mean, practicality-wise, it makes sense. Just want to get them all out. Though my main question is, why wouldn't you go for a system where as soon as it's fired, it is ejected just like a normal shotgun, so to say? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 24 shots. Yeah, that's, I want to say, like a fairly small drum size, but practicality-wise makes sense for a gauntlet about that size. I know I said size a lot. Wish we saw more tactical reloads. And the precision required for that, don't think you need me to tell you that ain't gonna work. So, modified flare shots by the looks of it. And flips. Personally, I am not that agile, so would not have done that. And sending large explosives doesn't sound like a very logical idea. And I will applaud these girls for doing the logical thing of keeping pressure from both sides, which you can see in the Duel of the Fates from episode 1. Darth Maul, he does his best to keep Obi-Wan here and Qui-Gon Jinn here, or the opposite, with him over here, making sure he doesn't get surrounded and flanked. This is probably one of the more practical fights, like I've said. So she's going with the X2 or whatever. And large, overly dramatic strikes. Oh god, bicycle kicks. I spent a lot of time learning to do those and never could get the hang of them. Again, just tag teaming, keeping up the pressure. Good job. Only thing I would say here, I would have kept up the pressure as she went flying, not given her a chance to counterattack. And their auras have to be fairly strong if they were able to at least semi-tank a, few rounds of shotgun bursts just directly to the chest and being thrown through pillars. Unnecessary flipping. Notice that style a lot being done in these early fights. And, okay, where was that kick aimed? Because spacing wise, Yang was about a good half leg away from you. You're not going to be able to close that gap with a kick. Would have spent more focus on the legs, getting rid of those. Whole series of kicks. Oh god, and yep, it's all doable. Modified axe kick, possibly leading from the front kick chamber with a side kick to send her out. For this, I would have reasonably gotten rid of the breaking news politics bar, but sent more focus to actually push and keep Yang from being able to single you out or get you pinned against each other. And if you had managed to keep circling, I think she would have had a whole lot more trouble. And if you kept close, actually, I would have kept close. You're more likely to be able to parry the shotgun blasts, at least the gauntlets themselves. Fake out kicks. That's ignoring the fact that they're fighting in what looks like 9-inch stilettos. Having never worn them myself, yeah, that makes sense that you would get knocked off balance and duck under the kick, elbow to the gut. Good idea. And okay, slight complaint about that was when we did a small stint with, more grappling and judo style sparring. There's a principle that my instructor called ones and sevens, which is with a joint, if you can get it into, say for an arm, a 1 position, which is just completely straight, it'll lock out the joint and they won't be able to do much. Or sevens, where you would bend something, to the point where it can't move any further. With here, it just looks like she's doing a ballroom spin, which granted she is, but unnecessary spinning, 5 yards. Also, missed the fire effects for the hair, but, I would have... When did her gauntlets... I clearly haven't been fully paying attention. Okay, so after the whole series of kicks, she shuts down her gauntlets for some reason. I would have kept him out and kept on the assault. Maybe it limits her wrist movement. But here, I would have locked out her arm, pinned her, and just, mounted and started pummeling. That anti-upskirt tech is really something. I mean, that's not a horrid ready stance. I tend to go for more of a direct one arm up, other straight down works better for me. But she seems to be holding her own with that. And I would have maybe gone after her a bit more, but Yang doesn't seem to be one to brutalize too much. And the rocket launcher baseball bat, that's gotta weigh at least 50 pounds. At least. So, in terms of practicality, no. Just no. Sending fragmentation shots, unnecessary flipping that everyone seems to do, that exact handspring motion, quick transformation of the gauntlets, and just blow them up before they hit you. Can't argue with that. Okay. The exact transformation looks like there isn't an exact transformation. Just his hand slides along the model before hitting that. Yeah, I mean, it's a fun idea. If you can actually get it to build up momentum, that'll pack quite the punch. As you can see, honestly, she's lucky she has aura, because otherwise that would have the same effect as getting a cannonball just dropped on your skull. Again, major complaint about fights like this, not keeping up the pressure. You know, if someone gets knocked down in a fight like this, you don't stop to let them get up. If they're knocked down, their defenses are the weakest, so you just pummel them. And the knuckle punch, which I just did and I hurt myself. Ow. Okay, so we actually do get a better look at the transformation of baseball bat. So it shrinks in and that pops out of the barrel. I mean, guess so. Yep. This was not meant to be viewed at this slow. She got outside of his defense, and yeah, that's what happens if you let someone get completely outside of you swing too far, they'll go around and grab you. And apparently, from what I've heard, this scene that comes up where everything goes grayscale, the only reason it's like that is because Monty didn't have time to properly edit, or not edit, fully color out things, I believe. And it just became a stylized thing. You can see a definite quality drop from the beginning of the trailer, though it's not too severe. I mean, with adrenaline, it makes sense she wouldn't feel that. And yet, you don't mess with someone's hair, and it fades into the gray scale, which I personally love. Wish we would have seen. This would be perfect for. So you know how Moonslice has its activation thing where you can just see the whole world turn red and black? If this was what Burn looked like when Yang activated it, that would be. I honestly think that could be a really nice stylization. And yeah, get thrown out of generic neo-Gothic building, I want to say. Those arches look neo-Gothic, I guess. I think. Been a while since I've done a whole bunch of study on architecture. But yeah, that was the first time we actually got anything plot related for RWBY. Not plot related, but character. Outside of, like, but yeah, that. Yeah, this fight, well, it could not realistically happen, but it is entirely possible. Wonder what happened with the second moon, or if that's just a stylized thing here. Anyway, thank you for sticking around. Hopefully this won't have the habit of turning a 3-minute video into a 30-minute one, like I did with the Red trailer. But yeah, if you liked, be sure to like, you know the drill, playlist up there in the description, along with the direct link to the episode. Watch it if you feel like it. You've probably seen it way more times than I ever have. And yeah, if you want the Volume 8 soundtrack reaction to go out, let me know. I have thoughts about it, but don't want my channel to be entirely negative at RWBY. No, I've been critical, but that's about it. Anyway, until next time, this is Elvin Prince, signing out.